one and all, for this 1-hour session on how to make a good software requirement specification, that's SRS, because this is a primary time where all the registrations are done, and all people will be getting into the next phase of SRS submission. So that's the reason why we wanted to have a webinar, to make process simple, to make process easy, so that everyone are there in the same step going forward. So I hope everyone can hear me. I hope so. Okay, great. So I just got a couple of messages in my chat saying that yes, I'm audible and I'm audible to everybody. Okay, fine. So let's start here.
Now attending.
Let's start here. So I'm just going. I'll just navigate through all of you guys through these PPTs. So it will be more of discussions, more of common points that we will be discussing through. So the slide number 1 goes like this. So agenda for this webinar, this particular webinar, is we will talk through about the TGMC 2011 phases, and also how to make an SRS here. So I take it a point that most of us here have already got registered. Okay, most of them would have actually gone through the registration process, and they would have got registered now. So the different phases of TGMC are: the first, to begin with, is registration. Go through the registration, and then the SRS submission, and then the project submission, and then evaluation, followed by the face-to-face project presentation. So, what is this TGMC is all about? So TGMC is the has got the Limca Book of Records to be the single largest technical event hosted in a country. Meaning the single largest technical contest to be hosted in a country. So most of you people would be the first timers of TGMC. Maybe some people would have got enrolled in the previous TGMC editions, and they would be part of this TGMC also. Just a small brief about the Great Mind Challenge. So it is a nationwide software development contest. The target audience are supposed to be engineering students, but on whole, on a bigger picture, any student who knows how to work on Java-based technologies can do a project along with an IBM tools. They can be part of the Great Mind Challenge. And how do you register? You need to create a team with minimum of 2 people and a maximum of 4 people, along with a faculty mentor who has to be from your own college. The faculty mentor can't be from another college, or they can't be your friends or your relatives to that matter, meaning outside the college. So when you create a team with your buddies, with your pals, or along with your inter-department people, so you pick up a project scenario. Yes, there are so many project scenarios which are available. So many project scenarios are available in the net. I mean, in our DW, in the Developer Works TGMC group. So you create a team of 2 or 4, and then you choose a project scenario, and you create a team. And what do next? So the project scenario gives you a problem statement, and it tells you what is the basic requirement for a solution for that particular project. So you start doing it. So the first step is SRS. How do I do it? How can I do it? So let me collect the requirements. Okay, now I have collected the requirements. How should I put it professionally? So that is the document called as an SRS. So you put it together, and you give professional approach to it, and then you just move on with your development, and then collecting things, collecting data, and then put it into your project, and then create a solution for that problem statement. Okay, fine. So what's new in this TGMC 2011? Yes, the website itself We have revamped the complete website. Even the registration process has been simplified when compared to last year. For all those who were there part of TGMC last year, they would certainly know what's the difference that we have done for the registration this year. And we have more technical resources, more new project scenarios, online learning courses, and also brand-specific scenarios. There is one set of scenarios which are very specific to DB2, that's an information management tool. On choosing that particular scenario, there is a separate set of prices for it, and separate set of points for those people, and also there's a special recognition for all girls team. I hope that girls are listening to this conversation. So there's a special recognition for all girls team also. So by and large, so the Great Mind Challenge 2011 is a team. It's a program development contest. It's a team effort of 2 or 4. Choosing a scenario, picking up the data, collecting the data, researching the data, and then developing it and make a solution, a web solution or a browser-based solution or any kind of a solution. Do it for the project problem statement and then just go ahead. So just moving on to the next one, timelines and milestones. So I hereby make an announcement to all those people who have just logged in, who are already there in this webinar, is that the last date of registration has been moved by another month. Okay, today was supposed to be the last date of registration. We have moved it to 31st November 2011 for the requests that we have got across India from the students through mails and also through telecalls that they have requested to give more time for them to actually register. Having in mind some of the exam schedules and other things, so they have requested, and so we are pushing the date. We are pushing the last date to the last date that's supposed to be today. We are pushing it to 31st November 2011, and here it goes. Sorry. Actually, it's 30th November 2011. It's not 31st. A small mistake in that. It's 30th November 2011, and the SRS submissions. The last date for SRS submission is 31st December 2011. It is not that you need to submit only by 31st of December. I would rather request everybody to finish or do a first draft of your SRS and then submit it, so that you would be able to understand what you have collected, what you have put it in a document, and revisit the document later, so that if you wanted to change anything with respect to your project, that helps you a lot. So I would request everybody to actually, for those who have already started, well and good. For all those who are going to start, please do it as early as possible, so that you will have more time for your development, for your project development. Okay. Project submissions, yes, we haven't, the dates will be announced to you very soon. Okay, and through these slides, the end of the conversation, end of this particular webinar, we'll also talk in detail about this project submission, how it has to be submitted, and how it will also be evaluated, and what happens in a face-to-face presentation, and also in the final rounds. So the timelines and milestones, it is basically that the very important point is we have extended the last date of registration to 30th November 2011, and the SRS last date is 31st of December. Okay, so moving into the SRS session. So we're getting into the main content or the context of the webinar. So we are moving into this SRS format and the template. What we will do is we'll just see through what is this particular SRS format and template which is to be submitted after you register. What are the different diagrams that are very important on the technical front that has to be included in the SRS, okay? And what are the tools and technologies that has to be used during your development for the scenario? And the sample SRS is already available in the developer worksite under the TGMC group, so anybody can go and download it. To start with, okay, there's one particular question about the DVD toolkit and all the tools and other things. So, I just sorry to interrupt in that particular case is we will discuss all those things while we actually just finish off the webinar. The moment when we finish the webinar, you guys will have all the details in hand, how to get it, what to be used, how to get it, and how to resolve any other solutions and every other stuff. Okay, fine. So we'll just move on with the first phase is the SRS format and the template, and slowly we'll slightly touch base on the technical front. But let me make one point very clear. This particular session, this particular webinar that we are now we are discussing, we are chatting, is not a session to teach how to teach any technical stuffs here. This is more of a session for you all to know how to make a proper SRS and have to be submitted for TGMC. That's it. We're not going to talk much of technical stuffs here, okay? Because if it is going to be a technical session, then it has to be a full day of session. So that is already, some of the materials are already available in our site, so you have to go through it. So this particular session is majorly on how to make a better SRS and submit it, and how do we use this SRS in building up our project. Okay, so I'm just starting with a SRS template, or I can say an SRS format or a template. So this particular document, okay, this particular document is available in our site. Okay, a sample SRS is already given, a sample template is already given in the site. I will, after a few slides, after say 5-6 slides down the presentation, I would also tell you how to submit an SRS in the site. So last year we had a different process of teams sending it through the mail to a particular ID for submitting the SRS. But this time it's all online. So you need to go to the TGMC group, and you'll have a link. Click that, and then you need to fill in. And then you need to just browse and upload your file and then submit it. So it's more kind of an online system for this year. Okay, let's get through the template here. Okay, I don't want to spend more time here because there are lots to come, lots to discuss, and lots to point out. Okay, so the template, the first page of this, we would rather consider this as a more professional way of putting our SRS, the software requirement specification here. So how it had to happen is, I would request everyone to follow the same template here. The name is, you have a team name, you put in a scenario name, very much important. And then you maintain this version. That is, in the middle of the screen you have some version x.0. This is for your own reference and for your own good. So for example, you start with a version 1.0 and you submit your version now. And later when you start developing, or when you build up to a solution, okay, your requirement and your specifications might just differ. So in that case, go back to the first document, that is SRS, and then you just keep editing, appending the particular document, and then save it with different versions. That will give you a proper roadmap for your solution that you get created, that you develop for the problem statement. So here, to start with, you have your team name, put on your scenario name, which is very much required, and put on your version, and then say 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. It is for your own reference, because that will clearly tell you how the roadmap was created in developing a project. And then at the top of it, you have the same infos, project scenario name, version name, and then the date and also the team name. At the below, you have the team guide name. It is very required. As I said before, the faculty guide has to be from your own college. He or she shouldn't be out of your college, or any of your friends or any of your other mentors can't be your faculty guide. Members, yes, minimum 2 people and maximum 4. You guys would know it. Put their names in. Put your college names, very much required, very much required, and put your department name and state name. And at the below it, that's a footer. That's not actually that's actually a footer. So in your document, whether it is a PDF file or whether it is an MS Word file, just put on your header and footer so that every page happens to be the same. So enter your team name and the college name. So the first page is quite simple. You guys know it very well. And then here comes the revision history. This is what I was actually telling you. So when you have this versions, versions clearly mentioned, so whenever you include something in your project development, just go back to the first document, that is an SRS document, and keep appending it, keep changing it, so that you will certainly have a roadmap, have a clear route created for developing a project scenario. And this is a professional way of creating or maintaining a project development document. So that's where we call it as SRS. Okay, and just moving to the next slide. So table of contents. So this one everyone knows, it's more like a legend here. So the description, introduction. I'm not going to go one after the other points, but this is again a better way of telling people what to expect in your document. What is there? What you have included. It is always better to have indexing of what you have done in a document. It is not very specific to TGMC. It is not very specific to your project, but indexing is a very good way to tell people that what you have done. Cataloging is very important. Okay, here. So table of contents, description, introduction. So 1.1, we start with the purpose, scope, definition, references, technologies to be used, overview, overall description. Okay, so overall description. So then comes the sequence and the data design, ER diagram, schema diagram, specification requirements, and all those. So this is a particular template. So this is a template. Okay, this is a table of contents, and then let's move point by point so that people would understand a bit more. So heading, software requirements, specification. The first one is an introduction. So give an introduction about your project scenario. What is your project scenario? What it is asking? Why you're doing that? Why particular problem that you have taken? What solution you're going to give? Give an introduction about your project scenario, but not about your own team. Okay. Purpose. Describe the purpose of the project. Okay. So see, here is the problem statement. Okay, I'm trying to develop a solution for this problem statement, and that is the purpose of the project. Okay, what is the scope of your project? Okay, to which industry it goes, to which people which common people, whether it reaches a common people or whether it reaches a government office or something kind of scope. How long? What is the durability, what is the longevity of this particular project, and what it's going to achieve. All those things mentioned in the scope of the project. And then comes in the definition, acronyms and abbreviations. Most of you guys would know it very well. So you better, so this is a standard template here. So HTML, JSP, J2E, all these are very standard ones. But I would request people, okay, if you're going to use anything other than these, okay, anyone is going to use, say for example, anyone is going to use a J2ME, put on here and then explain it. So that makes a better way. If anyone is going to use a very particular tool which is not written here, put in there and then mention it. Again, it's a definition, acronym and abbreviation, because these kind of SRS would be the first document an evaluator will actually go and check and just to think what is there in your project. So HTML, people know, JSP, Java server pages, it's a programming language, it's a concept. J2E, WASI is Web Sphere Application Server Community Edition, and all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these are some standard templates and some standard tools that have been used. I request everybody to actually include some of the tools and other things which they have already, which they're going to use here. Okay. Moving to the next slide, we talk about the technologies to be used. The subheading 1.5 here, technologies to be used. Here, ideally speaking, the rules of the contest goes this way. So they'll have to use Java and Java-based technology along with HTML using IBM tools. So that's mandatory. No one is going to discuss on that. That's mandatory rule of this particular contest. So mention the technologies to be used. Okay, and I'll make one point very clear here is make a clean differentiation between the technologies to be used and tools to be used. Okay, in my little past, I've seen many teams or many students try to I've seen people try to mingle the tools to be used as technologies. Technologies is the baseline of which programming language and what you are going to use to develop your project. Tools or the base where you will be using your technologies and develop a solution. Okay, make a clean differentiation what the technologies to be used: J2EE, Java, or HTML, or Ajax, or so much. So tools to be used is it can be a DB tool, it can be a RAS, it can be a RAD and all other stuff. The tools and technologies clear. And then coming to the overview. So there are two types of here: the overall description and a specific description. Okay, the overall description, this particular section will actually describe the major components and the interconnections and external interfaces that you would bring into your project comes into it here. Specific requirements. Here is where we'll have this use case diagrams and the actors and what the roles, what are the elements, what are the attributes, and every other things comes under this. Okay, going to the next slide. Going to the next slide, we have this software interface and hardware interface. The software interface, majorly what we would like to see is what you use in your front end, what you use as a web server, what you use as a database server, and what you use for a back end. Okay, what it literally means here is, I would just like to explain is on the front end. People, please don't confuse it with the tools being used here. It is about the programming language, what programming language you use it for a front end. Say, for example, it can be a JSP, or it can also be in HTML. Okay, put that here. And web server, okay, web server, you mention it's an application server. So ideally speaking, it is a WebSphere application server, community edition, or a simple WebSphere applications, WebSphere. Okay, hi. Sorry, unfortunately it was muted, so I didn't. Guys, I just request everybody to actually go on mute, and if you can, just another request from my side is, can you all raise your hand if you were able to hear me, because there's some technical fault here, so I'm just in doubt whether people can hear me or not. Okay, great. So people have raised their hands, so it's fine. So I just request everybody to just go on mute so that it we'll just continue. Okay, so we are in the slide on the software interface is the front-end client, just tell HTML or JSP and the tool used for it, and then the web server, just put on the application server, and ideally speaking, in our case, it will be most probably it will be WebSphere application server or a community edition or so, and the database server, yes, it has got to be DB2. And for the backend, you can actually mention what is the language that you're using at a backend. Say, for example, you're using a servlet, or you're using a JSP, or you're using an HTML for the, say, for example, a connectivity between a JSP and a database, wherein you use a JSP for a backend. So that kind of details you just give it under software interface. For the hardware interface, you can just put on the details of what is the hardware interface that you're going to use for your project, and if there's going to be any specific hardware apart from our good computer and the server, anything like an RFID reader. I'm just giving an example. RFID reader or any other kind of hardware that you're going to use, just mention it here. And then as we just go through the template, it is about the architecture design, the use case diagrams, the class diagrams, ER diagrams, and database diagrams, and all those. So ideally speaking, so these, and then putting all these technical very development specific diagrams as a first step things we will be just talking or discussing these things in coming slides. So till now what we have done is we just talked about or discussed about the Great Mind Challenge to start with. How do we register and what to expect, how we go through and all those. And then we started discussing about an SRS format and the template, what all the different things that has to get recorded, get documented. Okay, documentation is one very important for a professional project submission, for a professional project development. Okay, documentation is very, very important. Even you guys are well versed in doing projects, say for say 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000, even 10,000 lines of coding. But if a documentation that explains those 10,000 lines of coding, if it is absent, then your project is not considered as a project. It is just a small. I don't understand any of these lines. So if there's not going to be any discussion about these codes, then it makes no sense. So documentation is the first step for your professionalism, and it should be your first step for your project development. Okay, so moving on from the SRS template. So again, I say that we'll just go through the class, use case, and sequence and activity and ER diagrams. I'm just going to give you, we'll just go through these diagrams only. As I said, this is not going to be a session where we will be talking in detail all about this, because this is not a technical session here. We are presenting here to make people to understand how an SRS, a proper SRS has to be submitted. So all these diagrams should be part of it. Okay, class diagram, use case diagram, sequence diagram, activity, and ER diagram should be part of your SRS. Okay, even halfway through, if you're going to change your logical sequence, if you're going to change your data flow sequence, those things have to get back and it has to be documented. That is a better way of doing a project. Okay. Okay, so we'll just move on. So here is a class diagram. So most of you people would have read about these or studied, or even you would have crossed about on your university exams. So just a small bit of info here about the class diagrams, class names, attributes, and class operations. I'm just going through these slides. I'm not going to explain this in detail, because as I said, we are not here to learn about these class diagrams. Rather, we are just going through what is to be included in our SRS here. The thing is, okay, there's one request here from Amar Sarob. asking me to actually explain what is the hardware interface. Okay, there's again, Amar needs to know he wants to know in detail about the hardware interface, and there is Ram Shankar wants to know is something other than ordinary daily used hardware to be present for the project to be mentioned. So the thing is, guys, going back to the hardware thing, as I was telling you, apart from a physical computer or a physical server that you're using, okay, there, say for example, for people who are going to use a traffic, I'm just giving an example, a traffic, a traffic control system, okay, by using an RFID, a tag, or an online library management system, wherein the books will have an RFID tag, wherein the librarian will be using an RFID tag. Or in other ways, if someone is going to use some infrared rays kind of interface, kind of an input device to something, I'm telling about those kind of hardware over and above your computers and your servers. If you're going to use use those specific hardware, you need to include that under the hardware interface. Apart from your computers and your servers, if there's going to be any other specific hardware along with your computers and servers, for an RFID reader or an infrared reader or any such kind of hardware, you need to just list it down. Okay. If any other things, if there's got to be any more queries on this particular topic, please feel free to just drop a message on the message board. Okay, we'll be able to reply to that. Because I just don't want to curtail the time which is available. Another just 20 more minutes available here. So I'm just going. Okay, you're welcome, Amar, and you're also welcome, Ram Shekhar. Okay, I'm just moving on. So, as I said, I'm not going to explain much about the class diagrams. So class diagram should be a part of your SRS. Okay, what is a class? A class is a description of a set of objects that share the same attributes, operations, relationships, and semantics. Okay, the classes on the whole, it has the class names, attributes, and operations. A class name is a name that is the only required tag in a graphical representation of a class. So it comes with a class name, it comes with an attributes and operations. Okay, attributes, you guys will also very well know that. Say for example, a name or an address or the birth date of a particular person, or even a social unique ID or whatsoever, if those different data can make it an attribute. So on a proper definition, an attribute is a named property of a class that describes the object being modeled. In a class diagram, attributes appear in the second compartment, as said in the presentation, just below the name compartment. Okay, so next one is the class operation. So we call it as operations. Operations describe the class behavior. What will that particular attribute act? Okay, and it's the third compartment. So I'm just moving on. As I said, class diagram is one diagram that has to be included in the SRS, and then the use cases, very interesting UMLs we have. So a use case specifies the behavior of a system or a part of a system, and it is a description of a set of sequences of actions, including variants that a system performs to yield an observable result of a value to an actor. Okay, I'm not going in detail because I don't want to teach like a teacher here. So use case diagrams, so we just represent it in an elliptical shape, and then the actors with a thin human kind of diagram there. So those are the use cases, and then the sequence diagram. Okay, so let me put this way: the class diagrams has to be followed by a use case diagram that has to be followed by sequence diagram. Okay. Sequence diagram is rendered as a box and a dashed line descending from it. The line is called an object lifeline. It represents existence of an object over a period of time. Okay, so sequence diagram is an interaction diagram that the time ordering of a messages would come. It shows us a set of objects and the messages sent and received by other objects. Okay. So as I said, class diagram, use case diagram, and then the sequence diagram should follow. And along with it, we will have the activity diagram. Activity diagram is essential. Flow chart shows us which activity comes after which, or which activity descends or which activity ascends. Okay, that shows us that particular diagram is shown through activity diagram, which is again a very important one. And then we have this ER diagram. In other ways, we will call it as entity relationship modeling. Entity relationship modeling here. So I don't want to take much of time here, because you guys would know what is an entity type and how a relationship happens. Okay, and happens, and how is a ERD, that is a entity relationship diagram development process happens. So you identify an entity, determine the attributes, you select the primary key. Most of you people would know what is the primary key. Establish the relationship between entities, draw an entity model, and test the relationships and the keys. Okay, I'm just moving on with the next slide. This I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to go through each and every line of these. Okay, there's another particular question that's coming in, asking which software do we use to do all these diagrams. So yes, I would be certainly we'll be talking about which particular software that we will be using for doing all these. Okay, I just want to finish off all these slides, and then we'll discuss a bit more about that particular tool, right? So these are the key attributes here. The primary key, we're not going to talk about much about this primary, composite, and then foreign keys, key definitions for it. Why I've included this particular things in this particular slide is just because if you just take the slides and use it for your SRS descriptions, some of the points are very important for you, so that you will learn a bit more on seeing all these slides. There is also another very exhaustive slides available, which I have not put in here. Maybe that would be available in the DW site, which can be downloaded. Okay. Okay. Coming to the tool which can be used for doing this is, number one, you can use rational rows. Number two, you can also use rational application developer. Number three, you can also use RSA. Okay, that is RSA stands for Rational Software Architect. So most of you would know about rational rows. Rational rows is very much available in many of the universities' curriculum for the UML. So rational rows can be used. Rational Application Developer, a tool which is very specifically used for an end-to-end solution. You can also do modeling and use cases and other ER and the schema diagrams there. And RSA is the latest tool that is available from IBM. That is RSA. I call it as Rational Software Architect. Is available there. You can use RSA with it. Just one challenge with RSA. One challenge with RSA is it is a very heavy tool. Meaning, what I mean by very heavy tool is it needs it demands more than 2 GB of RAM. It demands more than 4 GB of memory space, and it also requires at least say 13 to 15 GB of free space for its running. Okay, and Nishant is just asking me that is RSA available in the DVD kit that has been given to the TGMC students. The answer is no. RSA is not available in the DVD kit because, as I said, it is very heavy to actually to give it over ST. Rather than taking up RSA, you can very well do it in RAD. Okay, RSA is not available in the DVD kit, but you can very well do it in RAD. That's Rational Application Developer, which is already available in the DVD. Okay, so we started, so we were talking about the formats and then the templates and then the different diagrams just to compile, just to put a list of diagrams which has to be included. There is the class diagrams, use case diagrams, ER diagrams, sequence diagrams, activity diagrams. So these are the diagrams that has to be there in the SRS, just for your own sake of understanding how a project flows. Okay. Now coming to the tools and technologies that has to be used during, or these are the tools that has to be used in your project development. Okay. Let me differentiate one after the other. So as I said, the language, the programming language that has to be used should be Java and Java related technologies. Okay. J2E, servlets, JSPs, EJBs, that's Enterprise Java Beans, Ajax, and then struts, portlets, J2ME, any Java and Java-based technologies along with HTML only should be used for developing the project. And for the database, DB2 Cloudscape has to be used. No other tool has to be used apart from these. No other competitive company tools or no other tools has to be used here. We prefer to have the solution based on Linux. We prefer to have, okay, there's again Nishant just putting up a question. Can Dreamweaver be used to make web pages? The answer is no, please don't use Dreamweaver. You can use Eclipse or you can use Rational Application Developer, because they are also IDEs, okay, which makes your project development much easier, like what Dreamweaver does. Okay. Another question from Tarun Sharma is, can I use web services with my application? The answer is perfectly yes. You can very well have the web services included or initiated in your project. The right word to use is initiated in your project, web services. And coming to the platform, we would like to prefer Linux, and there is a specific more points or preferred points are more given to Linux. It's not that we don't give points to Windows, not that case, but we prefer Linux. Okay, and the development, debugging, and testing your applications. Okay, this particular slide shows you different IDEs. Okay, there's one IDE called as a WebSphere Studio Application Developer, which is pretty old, but a very light product, but which is pretty old, almost 3 years old. So that one is now replaced by Rational Application Developer version 6 and version 7. Okay, and Eclipse. Okay, the first two tools, WebSphere or WebSphere Application Developer or Rational Application Developer, both are actually based on Eclipse platform. Okay, just a small info on that. So these are IDEs. These are the primary IDEs that you can use for your design, for your development, for your testing, and also for your debugging. So say for example, there are two choices here. A lighter choice and a heavier choice. What is meant by lighter choice? The one which demands less hardware means a lighter choice. The one which requires few GBs of memory space and some RAM space, we consider that as a little heavier one. So let's talk about the lighter combo and a heavier combo, like how we see in the how we see it in pizza outlets. So the lighter combo, I would rather say, is it's Eclipse plus WASI. That's WASI stands for WebSphere Application Server Community Edition, and DB2 Express. Okay, all you need is maybe is maybe a less than a GB of RAM is all important to do this lighter combo. Okay, Eclipse doesn't take much of space, and WASI also doesn't take much of space. I think 60 MB, and Eclipse would take around 150 or 200 MB. And Express again, it would take another 300 MB. So on the whole, you can just finish it with it. The other choice, the heavier choice, would be RAD along with DB2. The thing is, RAD, it takes, if you have a 2 GB RAM, it's always good. It runs faster. And an application server and a WebSphere application server comes along with RAD. Okay, so you would be the application server is already integrated into this IDE, so it's more like an end-to-end solution tool. And DB2, of course, you'll have to embed it externally. So that's a bit of slightly heavier one. And for deploying and hosting your applications, as we were discussing, it is WAS CE, which can combine with Eclipse, or it is WAS, which is already embedded in RAD, which you can use. And for more purposes, say for example, if you wanted to do backup, if you wanted to do some other infrastructure management kind of things in your solution, I think you can very well use Tivoli based products. So on the whole, about this particular slide is the tools and technologies to be used: Java and Java based technologies along with HTML, and purely IBM tools to be used along with Eclipse. Okay, just moving on. Now coming to the very important thing of how to submit your SRS. Okay, this is again a new effort that we are taking this time. Rather than asking the teams to send a mail along with your SRS, we are just asking them to submit it online. So these instructions are already available in the TGMC group under a wiki. Okay, guys would certainly know what are the wikis available in the TGMC group. There is one wiki called as an SRS submission. Just go to that particular link, and there's a step number 1 which is called SRS upload form is there. Just click on the JSP page. I'm just moving to the next slide because there is a snapshot of that JSP page. Okay, so this is the JSP page that will be used for SRS submission. Okay, all what you need to do is just enter your correct team name. Okay, enter correct team name and just say retrieve college details. Okay, under it, whatever details that you have given during your registration, it gets automatically retrieved. It gets automatically retrieved after giving your team name, and which is an uneditable format. Okay, you will not be able to edit anything on this in this particular page. So give your team name, give a retrieve college, click retrieve college details, your college, your city, state, country, everything comes up, and then later just go to the next step wherein you will have a browse button. This is where you need to upload your file here. Make sure that your file is not more than 10 MB. Ensure that your file is not more than 10 MB there. So ideal and preferred SRS format is PDF file. Okay, we would not like to have other formats. Preferred is PDF file or maybe a Lotus file. Okay, we would prefer these two formats. So put in there, browse it, then choose. You guys would know it very well. So browse it, then choose the file, and then there's a small checkbox there. I confirm that I have permission to. Okay, some terms and conditions there. So check that box and then click submit, and that will go to an IBM ID that's backend that you guys will not be knowing it. So we will monitor it. We will see through the SRS, and if there's got to be any correction that has to come, okay, we will reply back to you with those corrections. And if there has got to be any changes that has to be done, apart from corrections, there are any other changes, meaning the tools or the technologies or some description missing or so, or such kind of things, will come back to you. And just moving to the next slide. So this is the process. So you just go there, click SRS submission under the wiki pages. go to the wiki pages, go to the SRS submission, click on the JSP page, browse your, give your team name, browse through your file and then upload it. It shouldn't be more than 10 MB file. Make sure it's very important. And if you have any problem, with respect to your college details which has been wrongly fetched or something like that, give a call on the toll-free number, that is 1-800-425-9366, or drop a mail to ibmtgmc@keystone.in. So okay. So you can do it. So another thing is, as I said, file size should be 10 MB. So that is the thing. So it is, we have made it very simple. Just go there and then upload it. And then just moving to the next thing. So this particular slide is more of what we have already discussed all through this. There's another question from Amar asking whether an Apache web server can be used. Can be used, but the answer is no. You have to use either a WASI, that is a WebSphere Application Server Community Edition, or you need to use a full version of WAS. So okay, Nishant has got some problem with WASI adapter. So Nishant, we will discuss later. Maybe we will discuss that offline. Maybe you can drop a mail to me and we will discuss that little later. Nishant, sorry for the interruption, guys. So this particular slide, that's the TGMC 2011 project important guidelines. So this we have already discussed. In detail. By now, most of you would have know it. So I'm just moving on to the next slide. Here comes a very important thing. That's what do we need to do after SRS? Okay, now we have registered. Now we have done the SRS submission. Now we have developed the project. How do I submit it? Okay, the last project submission is yet to be announced, and we will come back to you very soon in declaring the last date of submission. That's one. How do we submit it? So we wanted your projects to be done, to be written, to be burnt in a DVD or a CD, and send it across to an address which we will be publishing it little later the year. So how you need to submit it? So these particular thing has to be mandatorily followed. There is no other ifs and buts. Everyone has to follow this. A copy of your project scenario has to be there in the DVD, in a CD. Copy of a synopsis. Here, what I mean by project synopsis is nothing but your SRS. The SRS which you submitted first, the SRS which you have it in hand when you finish your project. That latest project SRS, and a small presentation, a very short presentation of 10 slides which will tell about your team, the tools used, your understanding about the scenario, highlights, functionalities, and all those things, which you wanted to mention. That has to happen in 10 slides. Then you'll have to put it in the folder, and there has to be a proper end user help manual here, because the evaluators who are going to evaluate your projects had to just sit in front of your lab manual, and then they will just follow whatever you have said to be done in the manual. They're going to follow it to see your project. Okay, so your manual has to be clean and clear, and to be precise on the steps how your project has to run. Okay, and also yes, your instruction script, a text file, and any other related files has to be there in your project DVD or a CD. Okay, so after finishing your development, if you wanted to send it across, okay, not that you need to wait for some good day or a good time to actually send it across, or you need to do it only at the nick of time at the last day. Not necessary. Whenever you finish up your development, it is always best to actually send it the moment you finish it off. Okay. Yes, we haven't published the address where it has to be mailed. Okay, we will do that very soon, and also the last date of submission is also available. We will soon publish it. So this is it. So I've been speaking for the last 1 hour very continuously. So if you have any contest related technical queries, you can always drop in at tgmc@in.ibm.com.